Guys, it's Michelle with Deception Bytes, and I am picking up from where we left off with the Q post, trying to get caught up from being off for a few days. I may have been off, but Q was certainly not. So I am back, and I'm going to pick up where we were. Thank you so much. I was reading some of the comments under the last video I just posted, and I have been so down the last few days, and it really picked me up. It really cheered me up. I thought, I'm telling you, I really do have the sweetest listeners of anyone on YouTube. I really do. I'm telling you, just read some of the comments. It's amazing. So I appreciate that. Anyway, I'm trying to talk one of my cats into going across the road and picking me up a coffee, but I haven't quite been able to persuade them yet. I think that it's only fair. I've supported them for 20 years. 20 years. Over 20 years. I've given them the best of everything. You'd think that the least they could do is go across the road and get me a coffee. But I don't know. I'm not thinking I'm going to talk them into it. So we'll just go ahead anyway. So picking up from where we left off, Q wrote here on March 6th, he said, in response to this person here that posted a picture of the officials in front of the water in North Korea, and he said, this anonymous poster said, how did Q know they were going to be in front of that picture this time? And Q responds by saying, trust the plan. Q, trust the plan. Q knows. He knows. He knows things, Q. So the very next one is this person is referring to the file that we just looked at the end of the last video about the Kobe Steel and about the embezzlement, and it was the Kobe Steel data fraud. And Q responds to this person by saying, these people are stupid. Wait for Russia/China reports. Sabotage, investigation, strike 9999999. I may have missed a 9 in there. Forgive me if I did. So, what's this mean? What meaneth this? Well, I think personally that Q is saying wait for Russia-China reports because they're doing the same thing. The same thing. So I think that there's definitely, we have not heard the last of this. I think that this is going to be ongoing. I think that there is a huge debacle about steel and steel prices, and I think it's worldwide, and it affects the worldwide economy. And I think that what Trump has done in imposing the tariffs is actually going to save the steel industry. I really do believe that. I think that he is a genius. You can't convince me otherwise because I've seen too much evidence. He knows what he's doing. This man, I think it was wise to have him as president because he's obviously run business his whole life and he knows how things work. So anyway, I think that there's more to come out. I think that there's going to be huge revelations concerning steel manufacturing and what has been happening to it and the shortcuts they've been taking. And really, I think we're going to find out that most of the world's steel is inferior steel. And, there's been shortcuts made, there's been fraud. I believe that's what we're going to find out. Now, sabotage. Well, sabotage would be putting inferior, making the steel weaker than the data says that it is and selling inferior steel. That would be sabotage. And that's exactly what happened. According to Q, they sold us steel that was inferior, and we've used it in our military weapons and aircraft and so forth, and they're not as strong as we would like to imagine that they are. So this was sabotage, and Obama was in on it, and McCain was the one that arranged it. So, interesting. Now, he says investigation. Now, I think that obviously there is an investigation ongoing, or this stuff wouldn't be coming out now. So that's what I think is going on behind the scenes. And then, interestingly enough, he says strike 9999999, whatever. Now, what does that mean? Well, we could take it at face value that, okay, there's been enough strikes, okay, you're out. But I don't think that's what he means. I think he means this. Look at this. Now, what are the odds? No, really, what are the odds? I'm not a mathematician, but if I was, I would really want to calculate the odds of this, because these are the exact number of 9s that Q put in his post, and notice that there were 13 payments of that amount sent to Iran. So is this involved somehow? I believe it's a very strong hint that it is. Now, that's just me. I like to see connections and put things together. That's how my mind works. So when I saw that, that's just an odd thing for somebody to say, I think. I mean, how many people would say that? Well, this is strike 9999999. Nobody says that. So to me, it's pretty obvious that there's a tie-in here somewhere. Now, I don't know where it is, and I can't say exactly what Q is pointing to, but I do know that Q likes to keep dropping things. He'll drop a little hint, and then he'll drop another little crumb, and another little crumb, and another little crumb, and pretty soon you have a whole meal. So that's what he's doing here, I believe. Now, could I be wrong? Absolutely not. No, I could be wrong, but I don't think I am in this particular instance. So let's move along. Now, he says, Q says, first boom revealed. Did you catch it? Hillary Rodham Clinton, okay, I guess that's not Q, that's me, where I started to say something and didn't finish it. Hillary Rodham Clinton and Clinton Foundation tied to what? What are they tied to? I don't know, because I didn't finish it. They're tied to this whole steel thing. I know that, and we're going to see that in a minute. And so he says, first boom revealed. Did you catch it? The last will be magical. Q. So here I've got Hillary Clinton and the Clinton Foundation have ties to the steel fraud sabotage situation, and I've got a link, but it also goes over it up here, so I'm not going to take you out to that link right now because we want to catch up, and I know you don't want to be listening to me all night. So it'll take this video and one more to get us caught up to the very latest of the Q drops, because he's been dropping stuff like crazy today. All right, so let's go on. So we know that the Clinton Foundation has ties to the steel fraud sabotage situation. I mean, what don't they have links to, really? Like, is there anything nefarious that the Clinton Foundation doesn't have ties to? We know they have ties to human trafficking. I mean, we know they have ties to Uranium One. They have ties to the Steele dossier. They have what don't they have ties to, really? I don't know. I mean, they probably have ties to just about everything nefarious going on in the world. My cat is right here at the microphone and is purring, so if you hear something, that is her. Listen, I'll get your supper when you go get me my coffee. How's that? All right. So let me see here. All right. So a anonymous poster posts this, and it's from that article that I was about to link to, but I'll just read it from here. More steel connections with Hillary Rodham Clinton and Clinton Foundation. One of the attendees at these conferences speaks to the stickiness of some donor relationships. Victor Pinchuk, a steel magnate whose father-in-law, Leonid Kuchma, was president of Ukraine from 1994 to 2005, has directed between $10 million and $25 million to the foundation. He has lent his private plane to the Clintons and traveled to Los Angeles in 2011 to attend Mr. Clinton's star-studded 65th birthday celebration. Between September 2011 and November 2012, Douglas E. Shion, a former political consultant for Mr. Clinton, arranged about a dozen meetings with State Department officials on behalf of or with Mr. Pinchuk to discuss the continuing political crisis in Ukraine, according to reports Mr. Sheehan filed as a registered lobbyist. I had breakfast with Pinchuk. He will see you at the Brookings lunch, Melanie Verveer, a Ukrainian American then working for the State Department, wrote in June 2012 email to Mrs. Clinton. So, yeah, all sorts of interesting ties there. And in response to this, Q says, keep digging, Anon. They all have foundations and institutes for a reason. Stupid, Q. And, you know, we've been told that before. They all have these institutions and foundations for a reason, and they all do. And they all go into politics, and somehow during their stay in politics, they become multi-millionaires. And they have these beautiful homes, and they have everything, their wants and all their needs and desires met. How are they all getting rich? How does Nancy Pelosi have the home she has? How does Maxine Waters have the home she has? These people do not make huge salaries. And it may sound huge. Like if you're somewhere and you're out in the Midwest somewhere and the cost of living is low and you can buy a house for, you know, $150,000 or $100,000, you may think that making $200,000 a year is big money. Well, it's all relative. But you try making that in New York City or making that in, even Toronto or, you know, DC. I mean, you can't survive. And, you know, let alone California. Oh my gosh, $200,000 is nothing in California. So everything's relative. We may think that sounds like a lot of money, but you cannot buy a multi-million-dollar home on $200,000 a year. You just can't. But these people somehow do. They somehow do. So let's go on. Purr more quietly. Purr quietly. Okay, now, here Anon is saying, drop the video, play it in Times Square. Now, fully these people don't understand, and a lot of the people that are posting on 8chan, and I'm not saying this to be critical of anyone at all, but a lot of these people are young, and they don't understand that the world doesn't work that way. You can't just drop whatever video this is of Hillary. And some people think that it's the tarmac meeting. I don't think it is. It could be. I could be completely wrong. But I think that it is a sex video because I don't think a tarmac video would do the damage that this video is supposedly going to do. I just don't think it would. Because I think you could talk your way out of that. But it's pretty hard to talk your way out of a sex video with a 15-year-old. Pretty hard to talk yourself out of that. So, this Anon is saying, drop the video, play it in Times Square. And Q responds to that and says, is the stage set? No, the stage hasn't been set yet. Google, Facebook, Twitter, etc. are all regulated. The mainstream media is controlled, and he's saying use logic, trust the plan, Q. Now, Q is urging this Anon to use logic and trust the plan. You can't just play the video, as media is highly censored and everything is being controlled and regulated for just such a purpose. These, you know, they're not stupid. They know this stuff is going to come out, and they're monitoring everything. That's part of the plan. That's part of the reason. So if someone were to put up this video of Hillary Clinton, that would come down so fast. And, you can't just drop it in Times Square, where there's children watching and, you can't do that. So anyway, there's my little rant. Now, Q next says, logic says they simply would not report it, right? I mean, if this came out and let's say somebody did drop it in Times Square and it was playing there, which, if it is a sex video, would be highly, highly, just not a good thing to do. Logic says they simply wouldn't report it. The news wouldn't report on that. You think the news would report that? Not now, not the way it is now. Fox might, but CNN sure wouldn't. None of the others would either. And it wouldn't get in the newspapers either. So if it were released, it would not be reported, and thus the total number of people who would see it would be limited, which kind of goes against the whole point of releasing it, right? The narrative/message is being controlled. Truth is being shadowed/shadow banned. Trust the plan. So Q's telling us why. It wouldn't be reported. The total number of viewers would be limited. The message is controlled, so it wouldn't get to the people that it needs to get to. And all the shadow banning. Truth is being shadowed. So trust the plan. Q. Q tells us this over and over and over again. Trust the plan. It's being worked as a plan. And we don't understand because we're not seeing everything that's going on behind closed doors. We're only seeing a tiny, tiny, tiny portion of it. And so it's easy for us to say, oh, just go and arrest them all. But let me show you something. If I can find it again. That's not it. Gotta show you something. That's not it. It's on this page somewhere. Okay, you see this? This right here. For God and country, stay strong, stay together, fight, fight, fight. These are all the connections. Rothschild owned and controlled banks. And these are all the connections. Look at all these connections. Do you think that's going to come down overnight? The Fed and the IRS, fact, U.S. Federal Reserve is a privately owned company sitting on its own very own patch of land, immune to U.S. laws. And so the Rothschild are controlling all these banks. And it can't come down overnight. There's too many connections. There's just too much of this. There's all the human trafficking. There's all the drug trafficking. Organ sales and trafficking of organs. I mean, it's mind-boggling. Then there's all the fraud and embezzlement and I don't know. How do you pull that all down overnight? You can't. And in pulling up the bad guys, it's like, that's why, in Scripture, God let the wheat and the tares grow up together. Why? Because if you pulled out the tares, you'd also pull out the wheat. So you wait until it all grows up, and then you can tell them apart. So there's a lot more to this. They can't just go in there willy-nilly and they're working it according to a plan, and the plan is working. Work the plan works. That was my phone vibrating. And I don't even have the desire to pick it up and look at it. Anyway, so let's go on. Now this is a little bit of a mystery to me, I must admit, this next one, and maybe you guys can help me. Maybe you understand it more than I do. But this anonymous poster posted this, a little snippet from the New York Times showing North Korea is willing to discuss giving up nuclear weapons, South says. And we now know that this is true, which is a wonderful thing. And Q says, in response to this, he says, wait and see. Excuse me. Reread drops. You have more than you know. Eyes in the sky. Sum of all fears. Q. Now, Sum of All Fears was a movie, and I remember watching it. It was actually a phenomenal movie. But it was about I think a nuclear device in a baseball game or something like that. It's been years and years and years since I watched it. But I don't know. I mean, here is an anon pointing out on the boards that North Korea is willing to discuss giving up nuclear weapons. And we've seen this in the news. It's been all over the news the last couple days. So then Q says, wait and see. Reread drops. You have more than you know. Eyes in the sky. Sum of all fears. To me, that seems like he's saying the opposite. But then he said, he posted about the calm waters and how, with North Korea, the whole thing is over, and we're going to get to that post. So I don't know. What do you guys make of that? I don't know. I hadn't seen where anybody else had decoded that either. I did look. Didn't see anything that kind of struck me as being, a real decode. So, then Q posts this picture side by side, and we've seen this picture already, so there's no need to really, get all excited about this. But, and basically, he's wanting to point out the water. Watch the water. So, right after he says that about this person posts this about North Korea is willing to discuss giving up nuclear weapons, and Q says wait and see, reread drops, you have more than you know. Then Q drops this and says watch the water, which again seems to indicate that everything's okay with North Korea, because here we've got this horrendously tumultuous sea in the background that looks extremely ominous. And here we have the sun setting and a nice clear sky and, placid water behind. So, and then Q says, big news week, not over yet, Q. Now, that was, what date was that? That was March 6th. Today's March 9th. I have not gone out yet to get the news for today, so I'm not sure what is happening out there in the real world beyond my chair. So I don't know, but I know that there's big things coming this week, and this week I would assume is up till Friday, because usually nothing breaks on a weekend, but I guess anything's possible. All right, let's go on. Okay, here we are to a subject that I really hate dealing with because it bothers me so much. The trafficking of human beings. Oh, sorry. Okay, so March 6th, Q links to a Clinton email. And let's go out and look at the email first. Wow, there are so many planes flying overhead today. Okay, so this is WikiLeaks, Hillary Clinton email archive, and this is news report on missing kids in Haiti, and it's from Hillary Clinton, and it's to Cheryl Mills. And news report on missing kids in Haiti, unclassified U.S. Department of State case number F 2014 to 20439. Okay, I'm not going to read all that because it just doesn't make sense to read it. Release in part B6 from H. Hillary Rodham Clinton at clintonmail.com. It's a real secure, server she's got there at clintonmail.com. Friday, January 22nd, 2010, 5:26 p.m. to Cheryl Mills. News report on missing kids in Haiti. Attachments. There's images which are not attached. As predicted, original message from Muscatine Lisa. And this is an AFP report from today. Also, GTIP is working on a memo for you and Cheryl about child trafficking dangers in Haiti. Trafficking fears as Haiti children go missing. Posted 5 hours, 47 minutes ago. Updated 5 hours, 46 minutes ago. The UN has warned countries not to step up adoptions, from Haiti in the wake of the disaster. Matthew Marek, United Nations official, says children have gone missing from hospitals in Haiti since the devastating January 12th earthquake, raising fears of trafficking for adoption abroad. We have documented around 15 cases of children disappearing from hospitals and not with their own family at the time, said UNICEF advisor Jean-Luc Legrand. UNICEF has been working in Haiti for many years, and we knew the problem with the trade of children in Haiti that existed already beforehand. Unfortunately, many of these trade networks have links with the international adoption market. The agency said it had warned countries during the past week not to step up adoptions from Haiti in the immediate wake of the quake. Unclassified U.S. Department of State case. However, several are fast-tracking adoption procedures already underway, including Belgium, Canada, France, Germany, the Netherlands, Spain, and the United States. Mr. Legrand said the situation was similar to the aftermath of the tsunami in Asia 5 years ago. Trafficking networks were springing into action immediately after the disaster and taking advantage of the weakness of local authorities and relief coordination to kidnap children and get them out of the country. Rupert Colville, a spokesman for the Office of the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, said child enslavement and trafficking in Haiti was an existing problem and could easily emerge as a serious issue over the coming weeks and months. The UN mission in Haiti has stepped up surveillance of roads, UNICEF officials said. Mr. Legrand said that there was a separate but only anecdotal evidence of people taking children by road to the neighboring Dominican Republic and loading children onto planes. We have seen over the past year many children being taken out of the country without any legal procedure, he said. This is going on. This is happening now. We are starting to have the first evidence of that. That is unquestionable. He was unable to give details on the 15 missing children or their condition or clearly connect the anecdotal observations in Haiti's chaos with trafficking. The cases were documented by social workers and by partner non-governmental organizations working for UNICEF in hospitals, AFP. So, and in response to that, Hillary said to, who was it going to? Cheryl Mills, as predicted. So, let's go back to what Q has to say. So, after Q gives us that link, he says, so much is open source. Now, what he's saying is, so much of this information, it's not hidden. It isn't hidden. It's right out there. It's out there in the public domain. It's out there in the public arena. And this stuff about the Clinton Foundation can be found. And probably a good deal of it can be found in the WikiLeaks emails. And he said, so much left to be connected. And so basically he's saying it's out there. It's just waiting to be connected. Why are the children in Haiti in high demand? Well, why are they in high demand? That's something I asked myself. We know that children in all places are in high demand, but I did find something very, very interesting, and I'll warn you, okay, it's out there. It's out there, but it's no more out there than adrenochrome. So let me see what this is. Okay, I'm going to take you to another link to show you something here. the Clinton-Silsby trafficking scandal and how the media attempted to cover it up. Contrary to reports in the media, the crowdsourced investigation, labeled by some as Pizzagate, did not begin with internet sleuths digging through the WikiLeaks Podesta files releases looking for pizza parlors and encoded language discussing human trafficking. It began with the shocking discovery that Hillary and Bill Clinton provided assistance to convicted child trafficker Laura Silsby, resulting in a reduced sentence for child trafficking. Silsby was arrested at the Haitian border attempting to smuggle 33 children out of Haiti without documentation. Her sentence and charges were reduced after an intervention by Bill Clinton. In the aftermath of Silsby's arrest, her originally retained lawyer, George Pulo, was arrested in connection with an international smuggling ring accused of trafficking women and minors from Central America and Haiti. The revelation of this news in November was either ignored by the Western media or attacked by Clinton-controlled publications. Well, of course it would be, right? Of course. And you can bet that if Clinton got her off, then it had her trafficking had something to do with the Clinton Foundation, for sure. Otherwise, Bill Clinton would not have been bothered, right? I mean, they had to have been involved somehow, and probably didn't want her yapping and giving anyone information. That's probably why he got her off. So, Laura Silsby is the former director of the New Life Children's Refuge. Emails from her organization can be found in WikiLeaks' Hillary Clinton email archive discussing the NGO before her arrest. Silsby's organization also appears in Clinton's emails, soliciting donations for their, quote, ministry. The refuge was founded by Silsby and Carissa Coulter, both attendees of the Central Valley Baptist Church in Meridian, Idaho. Silsby was reported to have a history of bad debts and unpaid wages. Laura had claimed she planned to build an orphanage in the Dominican Republic, but a State Department diplomatic cable revealed that authorities in that country said she never submitted an application for that purpose, or for this purpose. They instead located to Haiti. On January 29, 2010, Silsby was arrested with 9 other American nationals attempting to steal 33 children from the country, most of whom were not even orphans and had families, according to some reports. CNN reported on February 9, 2010, that this was not the first time Silsby had attempted to traffic children out of Haiti. Haitian police, acting on a tip, had intercepted Silsby in an earlier, separate attempt to remove 40 children out of the country. She was turned back at the Haitian border. For a brief period, Haitian authorities were considering adding a new kidnapping charge based on this evidence. Hillary and Bill Clinton took an extraordinary interest in Silsby's case from the moment she was arrested and almost immediately stepped in on her behalf. The Harvard Human Rights Journal stated that one of Bill Clinton's first acts as special envoy for the United Nations in Haiti was to put out the fire of a child abduction scandal involving American citizens. On February 7, 2010, the Sunday Times reported that Bill Clinton had intervened to strike a deal with the Haitian government, securing the release of all co-conspirators except for Silsby. Prosecutors ultimately sought a 6-month sentence in Silsby's case, reducing charges for conspiracy and child abduction to mere arranging irregular travel, a shockingly light penalty given the circumstances of her arrest, which would likely not have been possible but for the intervention of the Clintons in Silsby's case. On February 9, 2010, Clinton consulted with counselor Cheryl Mills, and that was the email that we just read, of course, was one of the communications back and forth, and other attorneys in an email discussing the U.S. government's options regarding the arrested Americans. The heavily redacted memo attached to that email does not reveal what these options consisted of. However, the State Department American Citizen Services is only authorized to offer lists of local English-speaking attorneys to Americans arrested or detained abroad. To go beyond that authorization is a severe violation of protocol and is illegal. Additional emails revealed that the State Department was involved with making statements on the Silsby scandal and preparing to assist Silsby co-conspirators with their return to the United States, although this is consistent with State Department protocol in these situations. So Silsby's lawyer, so not only was Silsby convicted of child trafficking. But his lawyer and his wife were both arrested for involvement in human sex trafficking of minors and women. Yeah. On February 11th, the New York Times reported that Silsby's original lawyer, George Pulo, was suspected of leading an international human trafficking ring involving women and minors. According to the Harvard Human Rights Journal, Pulo was ultimately arrested in an investigation being led by the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, and Homeland Security Investigation, HSI, in connection with the ring. He was wanted in the United States, El Salvador, Costa Rica for his involvement with a network trafficking Central Americans and Haitians. At the time of his arrest, his wife was already imprisoned in El Salvador and faced charges of presumed sexual exploitation of minors and women. Pulo was ultimately sentenced to 3 years in federal prison for alien smuggling, another surprisingly light sentence given the original charges he was sought for. It is not known at this time whether or not Laura Silsby was associated with Pulo's criminal enterprise. And then the Daily Beast engaged in an illicit cover-up operation of the above information, which, of course, it would. So I'm not going to read the rest of it here. Just know that, of course, the press tried to cover all this up because we know how much they love Hillary. Yeah, and her illegal activities. They don't seem to mind that at all. I honestly think anybody that would traffic a child is beyond human. Okay. So, Q says, why are the children in Haiti in such high demand? How are they smuggled out? Adoption process? Local staging ports friendly to the Clinton Foundation? Track donations, cross against locations relative to Haiti. Think logically. The choice to know will be yours. Q. Now, first of all, before we get into why the children in Haiti are in such high demand, let's go over here. Interestingly enough, Algeria made a contribution to the Clinton Foundation of $500,000 earmarked specifically for earthquake relief. Algeria is also a hub for child human trafficking. Not only that, but Hillary, when we go out here, and I'm not going to read all this, but I do want you to see that she was not forthcoming about this donation from Algeria because it broke an agreement. Clinton Foundation 2010 donation broke Obama administration agreement. So the Clinton Foundation admitted Thursday that a $2010 2010 donation from the Algerian government was not properly approved under the guidelines the Obama administration put in place with the foundation when Hillary Clinton became Secretary of State in 2009. The unsolicited $500,000 donation was made by the Embassy of Algeria immediately following the devastating earthquake in Haiti on January 12, 2010, the Clinton Foundation said in an unsigned statement. So, isn't that interesting? It broke an agreement that Hillary had with the Obama administration had put in place, but you know, these people, they don't care about any of that. So, let's go back here. Now, how are they smuggled out? Well, there's obviously a route across the border into the Dominican Republic where Laura Silsby of Friends of the Orphans, yeah, she's some friend of the orphan, isn't she? Yeah, thank you, but I'll do without one of those friends. A Baptist organization was caught and Secretary of State Clinton came to her aid. So she was smuggling them out across the border into the Dominican Republic and then putting them onto airplanes. So I would say that that's one of the routes out, or one of the ways they're being smuggled out. And also Q tells us that there's local staging ports friendly to the Clinton Foundation. Port de Paix is a resort town on the northern coast where many donors to the Clinton Foundation invested in a resort hotel, certainly friendlier to the Clintons. Another is Cap Haitian, another wealthy resort town similar to Port de Paix, and often referred to as the Paris of the Antilles. Both are a stone's throw from Cuba, particularly Guantanamo Bay. Also, when checking donations, track the donations, to the CF, I found that several donors were trying to gain access to Cuba, as Secretary of State Hillary Rodham Clinton lobbied for relaxation of sanctions. So, yeah. Now, so we know that the Clinton Foundation was involved in child trafficking, whether it was for adoptions, illegal adoptions, whether it was for sex trafficking, we don't know. Maybe it was for forced labor. Maybe it was for organs. We don't know. Why are the children in Haiti in high demands? Well, all these reasons: sex trafficking, forced labor, organs. But apparently, and this is the first time I've ever heard of this, and I literally was gobsmacked. I have a friend from Australia who used that word, and I love it. Gobsmacked. Anyway, I'm going to take you out and show you something, and I warn you, this is out there. It's out there, okay? But it seems to be a thing because I've been researching it lately. Okay. Missing black girls, the medical industry, and melanin. 64,000 African American women and girls are missing. Where are they? The dark past of the American medical history and the miraculous applications of melanin hold important clues. And of course, we know that black skin has much more melanin than does white skin. And apparently, there is a medical use for this. I know, I told you it was out there. I didn't come up with this. But it is true that black women and children go missing more than white. And you can blame it on whatever you want. There is a reason. And it's not just that, well, black mothers aren't watching their children. No, that's retarded. That's not it. And the same thing is happening out west in Canada. All the Native women are going missing like crazy. There's somebody taking or killing the Native women. Why? Why Native women? Don't know. Anyway, 64,000 African American girls are reported missing, but nobody's looking for them. Why? Despite representing 12.85% of the population, black Americans accounted for nearly 226,000, or 34% of all missing persons reported in 2012, according to the FBI's National Crime Enforcement Information Center. The comparison with other racial groups is unfavorable. Whites and Hispanics are a combined 80.1% of the population, but account for 60% of the missing persons. This is especially troubling when you break down the numbers by age. Black and Missing reports that 37% of the missing minors and 28.2% of the missing adults in 2013 were black. No fewer than 270,000 minorities have gone missing since 2010, 135,000 of whom were black, and 64,000 were black women, according to the Atlanta Black Star. Essence points to a 2010 report titled Missing Children in National News Coverage, which found that while black children accounted for 33.2% of missing children that year, the media exposure rate was an unimpressive 19.5%. While black men go missing at statistically higher rates, coverage of black female disappearances is particularly telling in light of the attention similar stories get when white women are involved. In the field, I've seen a majority of black missing children classified as runaways who don't get Amber Alerts. That is true. People say, oh, no, that's not the case. Yes, it is. It is the case. Medical history. No way the same U.S. government and media that gave so much attention to 200 to 300 Nigerian girls would ignore 64,000 of its own unless there was a reason. The most likely reason is organ harvesting, and the skin is the body's biggest organ. Considering America's dark history of medical exploitation of blacks, this isn't as far-fetched as it seems at first. First of all, there's a long history of medical research using unwitting, unwilling African American women for medical experiments. That is true. On the 19th century medical plantation, a locality spatially separate from the agricultural plantation, black women's bodies were imagined as the ideal test subjects of research and innovation within what became modern gynecology. That trend has continued from emancipation until today at the government level. And of course, we all remember the Tuskegee, experiment where they gave the men syphilis. Absolutely horrible. There's been all sorts of stuff. Throughout the long history in the USA, African Americans have been secretly used as guinea pigs for medical experimentation by various American governments. Now we're getting to the part. Okay, so just hang on. It's a market. The medical industry cannot advance without unwitting, unwilling black subjects. Cells secretly harvested and later cultivated from a black woman are the source of all cells used for medical research. Actually, that's true. That is true. And I just found that out not that long ago, that there was this black woman that died, Henrietta. I guess that's it right here. She's a black woman. She died in 1951, and she's the source of the HeLa cell line, the first human cells able to reproduce on their own. So for some reason, she had these cells, and it is her cells that are still being used for research. And this was not done with her authorization, that's for sure. So yes, if a multi-billion-dollar, multinational, centuries-old industry is based on the bodies of stolen and captive black female bodies, then it will continue along the same lines that it has succeeded, stealing black women, experimenting with them, and harvesting their biological material. Melanin. Okay, now we're getting to the interesting part, okay? You also need to be aware of just how badly pale white people actually need melanin, the many ways that they use it, and the price of melanin on the market. Though people will go as far as to sniff nasal sprays to increase their melanin, its medical and cosmetic applications go far beyond tanning. Let's look at one example. Meladine. Meladine is an accessory to a surgical laser instrument used for hair removal to enhance the effects of lasers for treatment of non-pigmented hair. It simply deposits natural melanin into the hair follicle, which aids the laser in targeting the hair follicle for removal. Simply deposits natural melanin into the hair follicle, which aids the laser in targeting the hair follicle for removal. Now, I know when I went for laser hair removal, I have like blonde hair, like just kind of a little peach fuzzy, and I wanted it removed because certainly you don't shave it or whatever, and who wants to wax? So I went and they said, oh, well, we can't do that because your hair is blonde and the laser can't pick that up. So what they're saying is that there's something that is an accessory to the surgical laser that does the hair removal that you could spray it on, and it deposits the melanin so that the laser is attracted to the hair and then can remove it. Because people with blonde hair and people with red hair as well, the laser has a very difficult time in determining that hair and removing it. So that is a medical use for melanin. Now, you tell me, where do you get this natural melanin that has to be so frequently applied? They certainly don't say so on their site. So to think that the pharmaceutical industry, which like any other industry puts profits before morals, would take unethically sourced melanin is probably a very sane thought, making the opposing thought, of course, insane. Melanin, fountain of youth. See, I did not know any of this. Like, this was all news to me. And I went out there and I started looking it up on other sites because I thought maybe these people are nuts. But I don't know. But, you think of the adrenochrome, and to me, that's nuts, but it's going on. So That is me shifting in the chair. It is the chair. I swear it's the chair. Let's go back to Henrietta Lacks, whose cells are the source of all medical research cells. What made her cells so special? Well, what made her cells so special is the fact that they wouldn't die. Her cells wouldn't die. Most of our cells die. Hers wouldn't. The cells from Henrietta's tumor were given to researcher George Gay, who discovered that Henrietta's cells did something they'd never seen before. They could be kept alive and grow. Before this, cells cultured from other cells would only survive a few days. Scientists spent more time trying to keep the cells alive than performing actual research on the cells, but some cells from Lack's tumor sample behaved differently from others. George Gay was able to isolate one specific cell, multiply it, and start a cell line. Gay named sample Gila after the initial letters of Henrietta Lack's name. As the first human cells grown in a lab that were immortal, they do not die after a few cell divisions. They could be used for conducting many experiments. Now, poor Henrietta Lack, I'm sure she was never aware that her cells were being used this way. This was probably because of their melanin. My theory is that Lack's cells were the first black person cells harvested and tested, hence their surprise at the difference melanin made. There was a popular expression, black don't crack, and it's true that healthy, melanated people who eat a healthy natural diet don't seem to age. This woman is 74 years old. I often said that when I lived down south because you could very much tell how old a white person was by the lines and wrinkles and so forth, but it was very difficult. You had black women that were just absolutely beautiful, and then they tell you their age and you'd think, there's no way, but they would just absolutely retain their beauty. And it made me a little jealous, but I got over it. So the need for melanin goes far beyond avoiding skin cancer. It's the key to life itself. When you consider that a body fails to produce melanin only if and when the pineal gland is calcified, a fossilized organ in the center of the living brain, you see how melanin is involved in much more than skin color and skin cancer. Read this astounding comment to the Washington Post article, "Scientists Find a DNA Change That Accounts for White Skin." So, I mean, this goes on, and I don't want to, bore you. But basically, they're saying that there's all these uses for melanin, and it can be harvested from the cells of black people in the skin, and that they are trying to postulate that that could account for some of the missing blacks, because there are such a huge number of missing black women and children and black men. So I don't know. I mean, it's not any further far out than adrenochrome. I do think it's pretty far out there, but I'm going to keep looking into it because there's other places that are saying similar things. I don't know. I mean, I think it's a little out there, but I don't know. We know that they believe, that the elites believe that drinking the blood of children makes them younger, right? And we know that they do that for that reason, and possibly it does. I don't know. It's absolutely revolting even to think about, but I don't know. But maybe you guys might be interested in looking into that as well and seeing what you can find out. I don't know. It's an interesting fact. I mean, it's an interesting thing to think about. Not that I really want to think about it, but okay, let's go on. So here we are, March 6th, and I think this is the email that we've already looked at. Okay, this is the email that it actually is going into Silsby and the fact that she was working for a Baptist organization, and Q is asking us, who are we? Okay, wait, hang on. Actually, he's responding to this person. No, he isn't. He's responding to this post of his own, this one, where he said, so much is open source. So much is left to be connected. Why are the children in Haiti in high demand? How are they smuggled out? Adoption process, local staging ports. That's what Q is responding to right here. And he says, who are we taught to trust the most? Well, we're taught to trust the church and clergy, right? This will not be easy. And what he's saying is it will not be easy for people to swallow, to accept, and to assimilate the truth because of the nature of it. You know, and it's the same thing. I mean, all my life growing up, I was always taught that the police are your friend, trust the government, you know, all these things I was taught growing up. And I later found out, you know, and it was a pretty rough, it was a pretty rough awakening. It really was. Because all my life I've been taught that. And these people are good and they want what's best for you. Yeah. And the same thing with church. I mean, and I found that out after being involved in a cult. I mean, no, they don't all have your best interest. No, they're not all good and moral and just and decent people. And no, just because they use the name Christ does not make them Christian. So anyway, let's go on. Now, this is interesting because Q posted this, and it's a you know, something taken from the New York Times. It says, here comes the fake videos too. Artificial intelligence video tools make it relatively easy to put one person's face on another person's body with few traces of manipulation. I tried it on myself. What could go wrong? Now, we know, just as soon as I saw that without reading anything else, I went, okay, yep, they're doing that because this video's coming out. They're already trying to manipulate the narrative, already. They're saying, because they're going to say, oh, well, that's not Hillary. That's, you know, that's her head that somebody stuck on it, but that's not her. That's what they're going to say. And so they've already anticipated this, and they're already coming out with this narrative. Little snakes, aren't they? And Q said, try as they might. Fail, they will. No free passes, mainstream media. And he's got it in the kill box, Q. So when Hillary's video comes out, the mainstream media will claim it's fake. And they're already trying to change the narrative with articles such as this one. However, Q says they're going to fail. Now, Dilly Intel, and Dilly is a person that drops intel. I don't know who this person is. Apparently they have been right. They are not Q. They are not part of Q's team in any way, but they have had intel that has been, you know, fairly correct. So Dilly Intel says the video that's going to be released will not be a sex video, but one of 8 damning videos that the DOJ possesses. He contends that it will be dealing with the death of Scalia. So I don't know. Either way, if it was to deal with his death, that would be huge. I mean, massive. If it was a sex video, that would be massive. The tarmac, I don't know. I don't go for that. I don't think it's the tarmac. But that's me personally. And do I know everything? Apparently not. So let's go on. Okay, Q posted this picture on March 7th. And it's an interesting picture, I guess. And he says, shall we play a game? Find Snowden. I guess that's identity +1. Now, identify +1. Now, the +1 is his girlfriend because he's there with his girlfriend. So, identify him +1. Happy hunting, Q. Now, I'm going to take you to a picture on page 2 because we've got this picture, but it'd be pretty hard to identify anyone here, right? So, let's take a boo over here. And now I got to find where it is. Aha. Now, this picture was taken here. It's in China. And that picture is showing the Wan Chai market, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. And if I'm not, then, well, bite me. No, I didn't mean that. Okay. Wan Chai Market. The former Wan Chai Market building was constructed in 1937. It's located at 264 Queens Road at Wan Chai Road, crossing opposite Stone, blah, blah, blah. All right. So that's where he is. And I thought I had another picture, but I guess I didn't. Well, dang it all. Nope, I don't. So, hang on here. Let's get back. So that's where he is. He's in China. Find Snowden. And let's go on. And then Q says March 7th, security test 1. He's obviously testing to make sure that the boards were secure, to make sure that he could drop. And then he writes security test 2, Q. And then he writes Internet Bill of Rights, Q. Now, this is mine right here that I put in here, just kind of, okay, first of all, I'm going to read this and then I'll get down to this here. Q says March 7th. Oh, I'm yawning. Sorry. At Snowden. We are going live minus 24. So I would take that to mean we are going live in 24 hours. And then he says, comb your hair. I think this is a little funny, and I'll tell you why. Because in the movie Snowden, he spends like 20 minutes combing his hair in the mirror before filming the actual drop. I am guessing he is razzing him about that, saying he's going to be on live feed, so he better get out his comb. Comb your hair. So he says, we are going live. And I think that means in 24 hours. Regarding the Internet Bill of Rights, this scares them more than anything. Loss of control. Use logic. Nothing to do with AT&T. Must be regulated to prevent censorship and narrative push. Q. Now, let me see here. Q states that the first boom has been revealed and asked, did we catch it? On that day, the answer to one of his questions in the boom number 1 post was revealed. North Korea had dropped out of the news cycle because it had been quietly negotiating the end of its nuclear program, which Q revealed is really a clown threat to maintain cabal control of the U.S. Finally, today, on March 7th, Q states regarding Snowden, we are going live minus 24. 24 hours minus 24 from Q's March 7th post is March 8th. 3 days minus 3 from Q's March 5th post is also March 8th. Q's post would suggest that on February 24th, the U.S. exchanged Lunev. Now remember, Lunev is the spy that was given asylum in the United States. He defected from Russia. Now, I got this from Reddit. Somebody had written this, and I don't know, but it's an interesting theory. It said on February 24th, the U.S. exchanged Lunev to Russia for Snowden. I don't know if that is true or not. On March 5th, Snowden, in U.S. custody, crossed from Russia into China and was 3 days' travel from his destination, D.C. Tomorrow, Snowden's capture will be announced along with the clown treason against the NSA military intelligence that he was complicit in. Now, tomorrow being 3 days, March 5th. well, that would be the 9th today. If this happens, the entire narrative will shift from fake Trump campaign collusion with Russia to the very real clown deep state Obama-Clinton collusion with Russia to take down U.S., NSA, MI intelligence assets, capabilities, which is treason. Now, I don't know. Will tomorrow be the beginning of the end of the cabal with the big Snowden capture clown treason reveal? Will we know in less than 24 hours? Maybe. Maybe. I don't believe that on March 5th, Snowden was in U.S. custody. And I don't believe that he's in U.S. custody now in China, but he could be. He could be. I don't know. I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see. This is a theory, and it's as good a theory as anyone's. So I guess we're going to see. Now, March 7th, Q says, how did @Snowden clear customs/immigrations in Hong Kong after the public release? Now, you know, he's been asking this all along. So this isn't the first time that Q has asked this question. He's asked it several times because really logic would say that he should wait to get to where he's going before he releases the information that he had, right? But he didn't. Well, why not? How could he possibly clear Hong Kong after that release went public? How did he do it? Why wouldn't he first travel to final destination prior to public release? Well, that would make sense. That's what I would do. If I had information that was damaging and that I was in possession of, and I knew that the U.S. would come after me, I would wait to get to my final destination before it was released. I would not risk being caught en route somewhere. So, but why was he not worried about it? If wanted by the U.S. government, would he be cleared to travel? Well, no, he wouldn't. He wouldn't. Because let me tell you, if you or I were wanted and we got on an airplane right now and we were wanted and, you know, it came to light while we were on flight, there'd be people waiting for us at the airport. That's just the way it is. He wouldn't be cleared to travel. There's no way. Who provided support to escape? Well, obviously, the clowns. CIA did. I mean, it's obvious. Who was the U.S. after during this time? Well, they were after Julian Assange. And then he says, Julian Assange, have you learned and eliminated L-6? Use logic, Q. Now, I'm going to show you a link here, and I'll put it in the descriptions because there is no way I'm going to read through this. We would be here all night. But there's some interesting things, and especially for you tech people, you know, or you know, computer weenies. You might want to take a look at this because it's interesting. So I got this from Calm Before the Storm, and this person says, what is L6 and what might it possibly have to do with Julian Assange? Good questions. Well, here's my take. First, where is Julian Assange? Nobody seems to know, or do they? Second, what is L6? L6 is part of the frequency assignment known as the L band. So I'm not going to go through this and read this all, okay, because it's complicated and it's long. But I am going to leave the link for you so that you can check it out and tell me what you think about it. Tell me if you think it's you know, a viable explanation. I did read through it, and I do think that it's possible it could be talking about this, but I don't know. I don't know. I think that I don't know if anybody could know for sure, but it's an interesting theory. So I will leave the link to that, and let's go on. Okay, so Q asks here now. Oh, and by the way, Snowden's location is Nelson Street Market in Kowloon, Hong Kong. That's where he is right now. Now, who controls social media? Clowns. Who performs in a circus? Clowns. I hate clowns. I really do. Like, I'm not talking CIA. I mean, I'm talking real clowns. I hate them. So, who performs in a circus? Clowns. Also, believe it or not, Snowden's girlfriend performs in a circus. Yes, she does. Who wrote the code to embed and censor across multiple platforms? Snowden and clowns. Why Russia? Sorry, I forgot to make this red. I don't want you to think that Q wrote that. He didn't. She didn't. They didn't. Because the censorship algorithm apparently was offered to Russians. Now, that's my story and I'm sticking to it. But could I be wrong? Absolutely not. I'm never wrong. No, I could definitely be wrong. I could be wrong about a lot of things. But possibly the answer. So why China? Well, China already has a censorship algorithm, and I believe that's either Eric Schmidt or Snowden wrote it. I really do. So why Hong Kong? I'm not exactly sure why Hong Kong, but I do know that Hong Kong's a very big port for trafficking. Not that I think that has anything to do with Snowden. At least I don't think it does. But I don't know exactly why Hong Kong. Why did Edward Snowden himself arrange a sea link in multiple countries? See note. A sea link is a communication link. Snowden has been in both countries to provide information harmful to the United States to further the cabal's agenda, increase the international tension. Furthermore, Snowden is able to provide key information from the inside of both countries back to the clowns. This all goes back to the clowns, which is probably why Q asked the first three questions. Who controls social media? Clowns. Who performs in a circus? Clowns. Who wrote the code to embed and censor across? Clowns. And Snowden, who is also a clown. So, that's that. Now, why Hong Kong? Well, this may be, sorry. Here we go. Well, it has one of the busiest ports in the world. It's become infamous for human trafficking, but I'm not exactly sure that that's the answer. In fact, I don't think it is, because I haven't seen any connection between Snowden and trafficking at all. So I think that is not a viable answer there. This may be the location of the port Q talked about earlier this week. I see the hole in this because it does not seem logical to transport children to Hong Kong from Haiti. However, the triads are known for their human trafficking. Furthermore, Hong Kong was previously owned by the United Kingdom until it became technically owned by China. We all know who runs the UK government, Rothschilds. In addition to this, the Chinese government does not have total control of Hong Kong, making it easier to communicate out of Hong Kong without worry of surveillance. This could connect to the communications link from Russia through China to Hong Kong, a sort of pipeline. We know that Snowden has connections in Hong Kong. That is where he shared the NSA files back in 2013. So, there you go. And there you are. So, now, the next post, an anonymous poster says, Snowden's girlfriend performs in a circus, and she does. Also, John Le Carre's George Smiley works out of the circus. I don't know who that is. And Q responds, the father is who? Snowden's girlfriend is named Lindsay Mills. She is with him wherever he is hiding. She is the daughter of Jonathan Mills, who lives in Laurel, Maryland. Poster on Reddit, CBTS feels Mr. Mills works for the NSA, as this poster had worked there. Lindsay Mills performed with the Waikiki acrobatic troupe and attended circus classes circus classes. Imagine that. Every Sunday evening. There has been further research done on the girl's father. He worked at Microsystems in Oracle, and Oracle company got its name from the CIA program Oracle, which was stolen from the Russians. I'm assuming Snowden and the father, Jonathan Mills, are of the same type or same ilk. So that is the father of Lindsay Mills. Circus girl. Now, let's go up here. Da-da-dum, da-da-dum. I'm thinking I should break this pretty soon. Well, I'll break it at March 8th. Okay, we'll do this one. We'll finish March 7th, and then I'll start up on March 8th again and take it up to the most recent posts. Okay, this is from an anonymous poster, and he says, I confess, I was an Internet Bill of Rights resistor. It didn't make much sense to me since free speech is already guaranteed in our Constitution. But thinking logically, the one thing that would scare the data mining cabal the most is an articulated right to privacy when using the internet. No more data mining for ads. No more algorithms screwing up how we communicate with others on Facebook. No more capturing my favorite soda to sell to a competitor who might want to make me buy something else. Also, and really important to me, is the right to be forgotten. It's already been adjudicated in Britain. Here's a bit of the detail. I'm not going to go into that. We should have the right to disappear. So if this continues to be a thing, think of it. Okay, sorry. So if this continues to be a thing, think of it this way beyond being censored for free speech. Think of it in terms of privacy too. No more selling personal information. No more dedicated IPs to track your every move. No more email apps that pre-select your possible replies because no more email being mined. Mail could be configured with the same privacy rights as US mail, for example. Last, I'll post on this one, but if it goes forward, please consider expanding the scope. Also keep in mind that there's more than the White House petition site to make your ideas known. Most of us have senators and congressmen to represent us in Washington, D.C. Maybe talk to a real person. And Q said, free speech does not apply in a private company setting. The risk? Loss of revenue. It's been backstopped by the circus clowns. Learn. Social media control is everything. The age of the mainstream media is over. Yay! Q. So we're going to leave it there, and I'm going to pick up on March 8th, and hopefully I will, I will be back tonight. I'll get us caught up tonight. So that's it for now, though, and I thank you guys for listening. I appreciate you guys, and thank you for all the kind comments. You're awesome. Talk to you real soon. Have a good evening and stay safe.